Ukraine keeps asking for more monetary and military aid from US and West. However, its constant bickering is becoming a matter of irritation for its Western masters. This time, US has ridiculed Ukraine's weapons request by saying that Ukraine soldiers don't know how to use the weaponry. Hello and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of TFI Media Group. I'm your host Ananya Sharma. Let's begin. In order to aid Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, the US will not provide it with M1 Abrams main combat tank, according to a Wednesday night article in the Washington Post that was based on statements from US defense officials. Abrams were on Mikhail Podolyak's Christmas wish list, which he posted on Twitter earlier this month. Podolyak is a top advisor of the Ukrainian president. In his Wednesday address to the US Congress, President Zelensky reiterated the request and said that Ukrainian forces were capable of operating American tanks and aircrafts. According to authorities cited by the Post, the Abrams are too difficult to maintain and too complex to operate for Ukraine. Authorities also claimed that Ukraine has enough tanks already. The incident shows how US is increasingly getting reluctant to send its weapons to Ukraine. Ukrainian army's inefficiency to use Western weapons has been highlighted earlier too. Germany's armed forces Bundeswehr blamed Ukraine for using the self-propelled howitzers it had sent in an inefficient way despite being trained in Germany. Bundeswehr said that the loading mechanism of the howitzer is being put under a great deal of stress as a result of the high rate of fire with which the Ukrainian armed forces fire their weapons in their defense against Russia. Bundeswehr considers 100 shells a day to be high-intensity mission, but the Ukrainians apparently fired far more shells. Germany also blamed Ukraine forces for firing ammunition for far more distance than its original purpose. The ammunition is designed for particularly precise, effective hits. However, US has agreed to provide MIM-104 Patriot air defense missile system to Ukraine, but on condition that it will train Ukrainian soldiers how to use missile systems on its own soil for the first time since the conflict began. According to Politico sources, the training of Ukrainians in how to use the system may potentially take place on US soil, at least in part, contrary to what the White House claimed last week. It said that the weapons can be operated with dozens of trained individuals. Normally, it takes months to finish the course. With war in the crucial stage, every day is important, and the missile systems may reach Ukraine after the war is over. The US and its allies send military hardware of the NATO standard to Ukraine to combat Russia, and the EU has its own program to teach Ukrainians how to use it. Poland hosts majority of the classes. However, some also take place in Germany. The US, UK, Canada, Sweden and the Netherlands are just a few of the nations that have their own military training programs specifically for Ukraine. The episode highlights how, despite training Ukrainians, Western countries don't feel ease in sending weapons to Ukraine. Their weapons in Ukraine regularly become fodder for Russian army. It is indeed true that in the end, it is the man behind the machine that drives the war, and Ukraine has proved its incapacity to operate such weaponry. This is why you see Scholz expresses disenchantment with Ukraine over the latest diplomatic tiff. Zelensky's shenanigans could thus end up making Germany anti-Ukraine.